Welcome back to another episode of Off the Carousel here on the Field of 68, and I'm thrilled to be joined by new SMU head coach Andy Enfield. Andy, I was just saying, man, it's a little strange to see you wearing that SMU gear here today.
Well, it's a great feeling after 11 seasons at USC. It is different. The school colors are red, white, and blue, so very American, but we're happy to be here in Dallas. It's a great place.
So you spent the last 11 years at USC. You were at Florida Gulf Coast before that. You were at Florida State for 5 years as an assistant before that. Now you're headed to Dallas. Were you aware that there's no like beach by Dallas when you decided to take this job? Are you going to be okay with that?
Well, after spending 7 years in Florida and 11 years in California, Pacific Ocean, decided to do something different here in the South. It's a great place, the state of Texas. People are very accommodating, extremely nice, and SMU is just pumped up to be in the ACC. So a little different living conditions, but what a great place to live. And the public school system here in Texas is excellent for our children. And of course, SMU is a smaller private institution. So as a head coach, been different levels, different places, and different size schools. But we're just really thrilled to be part of the ACC.
Take me through your thought process and kind of your decision making process when you decided to leave USC and take the job at SMU. Because I think people from the outside that don't really realize what SMU is might look at it as kind of a step down. But I think that there's an element there that kind of says, it's a sleeping giant in hoops, right? But so what kind of led you to make that decision and make that move?
Well, I think as a coaching staff, I have an outstanding collection of coaches. They are a huge part of my success as a head coach. And as we looked at this opportunity together, the move to the ACC is a game changer for SMU as an institution, for the city of Dallas, the only ACC school in the state of Texas. And it's an opportunity that probably was not going to come around anytime soon for me personally as a head coach. Florida Gulf Coast was a great opportunity going from assistant coach to be a head coach. It was a brand new school. They had no tradition or sustained success because the school and the program was so brand new. USC was a football school to go and had some great coaches, great players, great teams over the years, but lacked the sustained success. And so our goal, my last two stops, was to go in and build the program, and that's the same thing we're going to try to do here with outstanding coaching staff. The administration is very supportive, and then the players are a big part of that as well. They have to go produce. And so I think it's a very similar situation as my last two coaching stops at Florida Gulf Coast and at University of Southern California, where try to come in and build this thing and sustain the success. That's our goal. And SMU has had great players here. The last couple of years, they've had good teams. And then, of course, with the team that won 30 games that we were fortunate to beat in the NCAA tournament at USC in 2017. And of course, Larry Brown had some great teams here as well. So if you go back all the way to the Southwest Conference in the 60s and 70s, there have been a lot of great players to play here at SMU. It has this very storied time of success in the basketball program. However, with the move to the different conferences, the WAC, and then the Conference USA and the American, it's really nice now to be back at the power level and to be able to recruit at the national level here in Dallas.
So you are at a program in one of the biggest cities in one of the most talent-rich states in the United States of America at SMU. I was texting people to kind of prepare, like, what should I ask Andy Enfield about? And one of the things I kept hearing about SMU was, like I said it earlier, sleeping giant. What do you have to do to be able to wake this thing up, so to speak?
Well, it becomes a matter of recruiting talented players that can play in the ACC and win at this level. And then you have to develop them as a coaching staff and have them play together and try to put them in a system to succeed. So it really starts on the court. The administration is extremely supportive. We have a tremendous alumni base. It gives us the opportunity to compete at this level financially and with the resources, facilities, NIL, et cetera. But the players have to come do it, and they have to take ownership of this program. Very similar to what we did at USC. We recruited Southern California players first, and then we had sustained success. We were able to recruit nationally. Well, that's what we try to intend to do here in Dallas, where the state of Texas is loaded with talented basketball players at the high school level. It has changed substantially with the transfer portal, but now we have an opportunity where we can present a case for the future here of transfers to come take ownership of this program as well and be the reason why SMU becomes a brand of basketball that can compete regionally and within the ACC and on a national scale.
So I'm curious about this. The run that you had when you were at USC, 7 out of 8 years, you won 20 plus games, right? I think that there were 5 tournaments in there, would have been 6 if COVID didn't end the 2020 postseason, right? So 6 tournaments in 8 years, 5 of the last 6 years, or there was a 5 out of 6 year stretch where you were top 3 in the Pac-12 every single season. Outside of like maybe 6 schools in all of college basketball, that is a great run, an elite run. But the first 2 years you were there, it took you a while to get that thing going. I think it was 23 wins in the first 2 seasons, right? That's not that long ago, but I feel like now that we're in this portal era, there's a little bit more like immediacy when it comes to we want to see success. Like, how do you feel that as you come into a new program? Like, is there a little bit of I need to get this thing going quicker? It's not so much building a program. I got to build a roster and then we can kind of figure it out. Like, how do you handle that now in 2024 versus what it was in 2013?
Well, that's a good question, Rob. I think that USC 11 years ago or 12 years ago now, that we did not have the transfer portal, meaning the players had to sit out a year and there was no
Mhm.
NIL. So we made a decision to recruit all high school players when we took one transfer at USC to build that program. And so our players were still in high school during our first year. And then our second year, the other guys coming were still in high school. So we had to wait for them to graduate, come to USC, develop them. And we were 5-31 our first 2 years in the Pac-12. We were 2-16 and 3-15. Hey, and when you really improve and you go to 3-15, you're not very good. So we were struggling, but we were building a program with young, talented high school kids that became USC Trojans. And when you talk about Jordan McLaughlin, Elijah Stewart, D'Anthony Melton, Chemezi Metu, Benny Boatwright, 3 of those guys are still in the NBA, and Benny had all those injuries, or would be as well. But McLaughlin, Melton, Metu, Jonah Matthews was part of that, Nick Rakowski. So that initial wave turned that program around. And then we had the success with the second wave of pros with Onyeka Kongwu and the Mobley brothers and Drew Peterson, et cetera. So I think that there was a waiting period. Now in today's landscape of college basketball, you have the transfer portal where players can come in, play right away. You can give them NIL deals through the collectives and the different businesses in the area. So I think there's a the rebuilding process is quicker or can be quicker. However, at SMU, jumping from the American to the ACC, that is significant. So we think we can rebuild this program fairly quickly. However, when you go from the American Conference into the ACC, we understand it may take a while, but that while we want that to be as quickly as possible. And so we feel we can be very, very competitive this year. We have no idea as a coaching staff whether we can compete for a championship, although that's our goal. But that depends on our players and how they mold together as a team and how quickly they can become a cohesive unit that really wants to win.
Yeah, it's you're a new coach at a job with a new roster that is heading into a new conference this year. Like, are you guys still wearing name tags as you walk around the office right now? Like, how do you get to know? Like, there's a level of you said you need your players to kind of come together. Like, there's a level of cohesion when it comes to a basketball team that allows it to have success. Like, how are you kind of fast tracking this? How are you making it all work?
Well, ironically, we haven't met one of our players, and 2 of our players haven't worked out with our team yet. So we're still waiting to get our full roster here at SMU. School starts next Monday on the 26th. We anticipate everybody to be here by then to start classes and finally get to meet everybody. So the name tags will we hope to memorize everybody's name by then. So it is different. I think with 7 transfers coming in already, and then the 2 overseas, we 2 overseas players. So it should be a fun mix. We're very, very enthusiastic. We have a great group of young men here. We have age, we have experience, we have skill, we have size, and we have some talented freshmen as well. So it's a great mix of across the roster of young and older players.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM Sportsbook. We're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 throughout the year. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can use bonus code FIELD, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. The best part, all you need to do is deposit and bet $10 of your own hard-earned money to be eligible. Here's how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using that bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure that you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. BetMGM is going to have some fun offers available throughout the NBA playoffs. Bet insurance tokens, odds boost, and what I love, a nice parlay boost or two from time to time, as well as a ridiculous array of player prop bets for any sport that you could possibly imagine betting on. BetMGM is and always will be the king of the prop bet. So go download the BetMGM app, use the bonus code FIELD, and sign up today. And while I've got you, a quick request. The best way to support the Field of 68 content that you get for free is to engage with us. Rate and review the podcast. Like and share the YouTube videos. Tell your friends about us. It all helps in a world where the algorithm is king. And now, back to the show. So you are a program in Texas that is playing in the Atlantic Coast Conference, which means that you're going to have some flights that are pretty long to be able to get to some of these road games. Even, you got Cal and Stanford in the league, but at least they kind of got each other out there, right? How are you prepared for being having to fly cross country just to play a road game every single night?
Well, I think Dallas is centrally located in the United States. It's not centrally located within the footprint of the ACC because that would probably be the Carolinas. But we can get to everywhere within 2.5 hours. Some are an hour and a half flights. So it's not the travel is not that bad. It will be it's probably an extra hour, but it also is a great home court advantage here in Dallas because the teams have to come see us, and we have a tremendous arena, Moody Coliseum. It's a great place to play college basketball. We have tremendous fan support. So we're looking forward to it. The Cal and Stanford trip, when I was at USC they were going to the Big Ten. We were not looking forward to those flights, the 5 and 6 hour flights, at the 3 hour time difference. At least in Dallas here, it's very accessible, and we're looking forward to it.
All right, so let's talk about some of the transfers that you got coming in, some of the class that you have here. I think it's an underrated group, and I don't mean to lump too much pressure on you, Andy, but I think that you guys are kind of flying under the radar here a little bit. Boopie Miller, he's got ACC experience. Matt Cross, he's got some ACC experience. It feels like 10 years ago he was in the ACC, but he's played in the ACC. Cario Aquindo, Johan Traore have played in the SEC. Like what have you seen from these guys throughout the summer that allows you to kind of feel bullish about this group that you have?
We feel great about our roster. It's the guards are very, very good. Boopie Miller, we have Chuck Harris, who played here last year at SMU, averaged 13 points a game, shot 40% from the three. Boopie, of course, averaged 15 and 4 at Wake Forest last year. BJ Edwards is another experienced guard that was here at SMU. He's really improved this offseason. So we feel that the point and combo guards, we have some experience and some skill. And then, as you said, we have age and experience with Cario Aquindo, who played in the SEC and the Pac-12 and now in the ACC, and Matt Cross, who played in the ACC and then, of course, at UMass, averaged 15 points, 8 rebounds last year. AJ George, another experienced player from Long Beach. So on our wings, we do have more experience. And then, of course, Tibet from San Jose State, averaged 11 points, 6'9" shooter. So we feel great about our roster. Our freshmen, Chance and Mitchell, will give us some probably some minutes off the bench, and then our front line is very, very big, and we can talk about that when you want to.
Well, let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about that front line. What have you seen from them so far?
Well, we signed Samet Uturgulu. He from Turkey, 7'2", about 265. He gives us tremendous size in there with the returnee, Keon Ambrose Hilton. He's extreme, probably the most improved guy in the ACC. And then we have Jarrell Colbert, who's a shot blocker from Kansas State. And so I think we have, of course, Johan Traor, who you just mentioned, was a five-star recruit coming out of high school, played at Auburn and averaged 15-7 last year at Santa Barbara. I think we have a very versatile. We could play big, we could play small, and we'll see how they all mix together. That's our job as coaches in the preseason, to get these guys, try to figure out what rotation, how certain lineups will play together. And Matt Cross is 6'7", about 235, 240, and he can play inside, outside. So I think we have a lot of versatility, Rob.
Yeah, I really like Matt Cross. We did a podcast last year on the Field of 68 called the A10 Insider, and we had him on a couple times. One, that dude is not lacking for personality off the court, and two, he's not lacking for personality on the court either. There's a level of toughness that he's going to bring in what I think is his 27th season in college basketball now.
Well, as I think Cario and Matt are two of the older guys in the country. I think Cario hasn't beat on age. So, but they're tremendous leaders. They lead by example, and we're just thrilled to have both of these guys.
Last one on the transfers, Boopy Miller coming in. Um, are you relying on him to kind of get you familiar with what you're expecting in the ACC? Like he's the guy that played last season. He's the guy that averaged 15 and was it 15-4 in the ACC this past year. And how comforting is it to know? I mean, you got a point guard with ACC experience as you're heading into a new conference. That's a guy that's a senior. Like that's got to feel good.
Yeah, we've been very pleasantly not surprised at his talent level, but really pleasantly surprised of his leadership skills. Boopy is just a wonderful person. He is great with his teammates. He's a leader on the court. He knows where everybody's supposed to be on offense, the defense. So we expect big things from him. To have that ACC experience, we really needed that here, because we this league is every night you play some of the best teams in the country, and it's a very challenging road schedule for us. And so we thought it was very important for us to have an experienced guard like Boopy. It just ironically has ACC experience coming from another school.
All right. The one more thing I wanted to ask you was it's kind of more of a big picture question, but I think there's this really interesting dynamic in college basketball right now with the transfer portal and immediate eligibility and with the way that NIL is working right now, where you have a lot of guys that are coming back to school that normally would have tried to find a way into a professional career at this point, whether that's in the NBA, whether that's in the G League, whether that's overseas. And a lot of those guys still have NBA draft dreams. You know what I mean? Like, so how do you balance getting some of these players to come in that probably still think in the back of their mind, yeah, you know, if I do this, that, and the third and average this, I can still be a first round pick or a second round pick, while also getting them to kind of buy into this whole look, you're on our team and we want you to realize your dreams. But right now, for us to win, you got to do this job. You know what I mean? Like, there's a level of role allocation and role acceptance that I think is a little bit different now that these guys are able to make a little bit of money. And it kind of has, you have some of the, I'm doing air quotes here, the guys that would normally be pros right now coming back to school.
Well, I think the NBA is looking for players to help them win, meaning there are certain skills you have to be able to do at the NBA level to be on a roster, and those skills are different across. If you look at NBA roster, guys have different skill sets, and the NBA wants players that help you win. And I think everybody on the team has a chance to show that. There's only one leading scorer on every team, a college team and NBA team. So NBA scouts, what they told us over the years, and we just put we had 10 guys played for us at USC. They're in the NBA right now. And since 2018, that's a lot of NBA guys that we've had play for us in Southern California. And so I think our staff has a lot of experience in evaluating and developing guys to be NBA players. And that's what we tell the SMU players on our roster. But not everybody's going to be the leading scorer, but that doesn't mean you can't be an NBA player, because they're looking for certain things, and that's to help a team win. And that comes in a variety of ways. And I think all 10 or 11 of the NBA guys we had at USC were all different players, and they weren't all our leading scorers.
Well, you said it best. One leading scorer on every team. That is putting your John Hopkins degree to its ultimate test. Andy, been a pleasure catching up, man. Congrats on the new job. And I'm going to have to come